Hi, welcome to today's session on free software tools that you can use in the classroom. My name is Stephanie Richter. I'm the Instructional Technology Coordinator here with the Faculty Development and Instructional Design Center at Northern Illinois University. My contact info is there on the slide. Feel free to reach out to myself or anyone else in the department if you have any questions. Our topic today is free software, and I think it's particularly important as budgets continue to shrink really across the country, not just at NIU and not just within the state of Illinois. And we have to become more resourceful with what we have. While there are a lot of really great software products out there, sometimes we can find one that is cheaper or potentially even free that meets most of our requirements. Here are some of the ways you can find free software. Some software is released open source. Open source means that those who created the software want everyone to have access to it entirely and to continue to edit that software going forward. Things like Mozilla is a great example of an open source product. Their browser is entirely open source, and they encourage others to build additional widgets and gadgets that can plug in with their software. I happen to use a lot of trial software, particularly in my classrooms when there's a special software I want students to have access to, but they only need it for a short period of time. A trial software is designed to let you see what a software can do. Usually it's limited either for the amount of time that you can use it or the number of times you can. So sometimes you'll see a trial for 14 days or 30 days, or one that says you can use the product 10 times before you'd have to purchase it. Freemium is not quite as common now in computer software, but I find it's far more common in cloud-based software or in mobile apps, where you get a free version of the software that doesn't have all of the features, but it has a select set of those. You'll find some of the examples I'll share today. If you create an account for an online software tool, you can use one aspect of it, but if you want more storage or you want richer features, you may need to pay to get those features. Ad-based is very common in mobile software. It's, again, somewhat less common in computer-based software. But in ad-based, the developer makes money by putting little ads and commercials in your software. Sometimes those pop up while you're using it. For mobile software, it's often just a little banner at the bottom, but that's how they can make the free version available and still recoup some expenses for developing and distributing that. And then occasionally, you'll come across opportunities for beta testing. In a beta test situation, you get free access to the software, but it's specifically for evaluation purposes. So generally, at the end of the evaluation period, the licensing changes, you may need to purchase it, or you may switch to sort of a freemium model where you get a small portion of the software, but again, you have to pay for more. However, beta testing is really interesting to see new features that might be becoming available, or that may be an upgrade to what you already have. I usually find out about free software by doing searches for like free photo editor, and you can find resources that way. Or there are often a lot of top 10 free software tools, or top 10 free mobile apps for use in the classroom. And I gather a lot of resources that way as well. I'm going to start with the software that we probably use the most. Really looking at office productivity, things that word process, do spreadsheets, and make presentations, slide presentations. The software in this case isn't terribly expensive, and many of us have access to it, but many of our students don't. And there are two options here I'd like to discuss that I think are really powerful for students who don't have access to these tools. The first one is OpenOffice. Let me know if anyone has heard of or has used OpenOffice before. Looks like a few of you. Good. OpenOffice is really a free Office suite that makes available a number of tools, including those three I just mentioned: word processing, PowerPoint type presentations, and spreadsheets, among others. It's entirely free. You can download that for either PC or Mac. It includes these for Writer, Calc, Impress, and Math. Writer, Calc, and Impress are similar to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, respectively. And it can also read and write with a standard Office file type. So a student who has OpenOffice installed could open a Microsoft Word document. They can also work in OpenOffice and save it as a .doc or .docx file type. So this one, I think, is a great option for students who maybe don't have access to Microsoft Office. You can download the program and install it from openoffice.org. The second tool that I think our students should consider using, and that I would recommend you to consider using with your students, is Google Drive. Previously, this was Google Docs. Google changed the name when they incorporated some cloud-based storage in with their Docs product. Google Docs, again, includes the primary tools are for word processing, creating presentations, and spreadsheets, but there are other tools that allow you to make drawings and diagrams as well. The unique part about Google Drive is, again, this one is not installed on your computer. It's hosted online, what would usually be called cloud-based. You can download files you create out of the system. You can also upload files into the system in, for example, an Office format that then can be converted and stored online. It does require a Google account, which actually all of our students have now. When a year ago we migrated to Gmail for the student email system, that also gave them access to all of these products with their ZID. So they don't need to use a separate Google account. They can use their niu.edu account and log right in. As I said, the primary tools are for document presentation and spreadsheets, but there are others. And as opposed to OpenOffice or Word products, what Google Drive gives as well is increased collaboration. If you're used to working with Microsoft documents, when you create the Word file, you have to email it to someone else so that they have access to it. But with Google Drive, you create one file that's stored online, and everyone who's working on the file can log in, make changes, can actually make time so that we can all see what the others are changing together. And then rather than passing around a flash drive or emailing the files, we can just log in from anywhere to get these files. I think it's particularly useful for students working on collaborative projects. I'll be honest that Google Drive does not have the same level of features that other tools have, particularly with making presentations. I think that the Google presentation tool is fairly limited in terms of style and appearance. However, if you just need to make a basic presentation to convey some information, then it's a great tool to have available. Again, it's available at drive.google.com. If you're used to going to docs.google.com, this forwards you now to this one. I'm going to pause just a moment. I see that several of you have indicators saying that you have perhaps low bandwidth or issues with your bandwidth. If you collapse the audio and video box in the upper left corner, it may help if you're experiencing some lag or some choppiness. Just click the triangle that says audio video next to audio and video, and that will minimize that to make it easier. If you find that you're having a lot of choppiness, let me know. Just turn the video off altogether. I don't slow you down just so that you can see my face. So again, if you have issues, just let me know and I'll turn that off. The next category I want to talk about is graphics and photo editing. Here, if you are a heavy designer, there are great tools out there that do a lot of really heavy lifting in terms of editing and design. These tools don't do quite that much. So if you're accustomed to using an Adobe product to do, again, really advanced and skilled graphics or photo editing, do that. But for everyday editing, I think these are, again, great tools. The first one I want to highlight is Pixlr, P-I-X-L-R. And Pixlr is really, in my opinion, a great substitute for Photoshop. It won't, again, it can't do everything that Photoshop can do, but it does everything that I need Photoshop to do in terms of layering and editing photos. You can see a variety of the tools that you can use. You can crop, you can add color and blurs and the red eye reduction, sorts of tools here in your toolbox. As well as, like Photoshop, it is layer-based. So if you wanted to place a layer on top of another and stack that up to build a complex image, you can do all of that with Pixlr. Pixlr is also cloud-based. You can create an account that is completely optional, which is one of the reasons I really like Pixlr. You can just go to the site, which at the bottom there is pixlr.com, and import your photo, do your edits, and then export that back out again to have the saved now edit on your own machine. If you want, the only reason you would need an account is if you wanted to save those works in progress in their cloud storage space. So to me, it feels a little more anonymous than some of these other tools because it's not, I don't have to have that account. I can just upload, do my editing, download, and move on to the next image or the next step with that photo. Another interesting photo editing tool, if you have a mobile device, is Photoshop Express. It is free, and it does have very limited tools, but for quick editing of the photos that you take with your mobile devices, I really think that it's the best you can do for free, and I'm very impressed by that. So Photoshop Express, again, is available for iOS and Android. And you can do some basic things like cropping a photo, you can rotate a photo, adjust the colors, the exposure, saturation, hue. You can add a few extra effects as well to make them look a little more trendy, like online photo sharing has gotten to be more Instagrammy. But it's not going to do again, the heavy lifting for photo editing. This is just sort of a quick photo improvement, but it's really easy to use. I use it when I've taken a photo and I want to share it right away. So maybe I'm at an event and I took a photo. I want to send that to someone, to my students. I want to post it up on the site. And I don't want to wait until I've gotten back home to make these edits. And this is a great, great way to do that. So the site for this is photoshop.com/tools/express-editor, or you can simply search for Photoshop Express in the App Store for Apple or Google Play to find the app for free. Adobe does have more advanced mobile apps that do a lot more, but this will be your gateway entry into doing some mobile photo editing. Some other options that I have used. The first one, Paint.net, is a software you do actually install, so it's not cloud-based. It is, I believe, only available for PC. And then another fun tool that goes along with Pixlr is Pixlr-O-Matic. It's mobile, available for either iOS or Android. And this is another tool where you'll do some quick editing like cropping or changing colors. And then you can also apply more of those fun mobile internet sharing types of edits like filters, effects, borders, some sparkle, things like that. I'm going to pause for just a moment, and if you've used any other free photo editing or graphic editing tools, please share those in the text box. Or raise your hand and I'll let you use the microphone. Well, I don't see anyone raring to go on the texting, so I'm going to assume that there were no comments, but feel free to post those in anytime as we go. My next tool, I only really have one option for. When we look at audio editing, again, this is a category where there are some really advanced tools out there that you may want to use. Again, they can be fairly expensive, and I think more importantly, they can be fairly difficult to learn because there's some finesse that goes into audio editing beyond just using the tool. However, for quick and simple editing for free, I recommend Audacity. And Audacity is open source, so this is one where others can edit and change the software, and it's available for PC or Mac. It will record audio. You can edit that audio after you've recorded it. For example, if you record a mini lecture maybe for students in your class, and you make a mistake in the middle, or you say and kind of pause and start over, you can go back and delete all of that out. So what you end up with is a clean, focused, fresh, professional audio editing. It's a great tool for podcasting. Unfortunately, the Blackboard podcasting building block that we use is not available right now, but you can add the audio files into Blackboard to simulate a podcast. It's also useful if you are creating presentations. You can record the narration with Audacity and focus a little more on that audio before you work on combining it with the presentation. One of the tools that we use here for creating sort of online tutorials is Articulate, and you can record your audio directly into Articulate, or you can record it with Audacity, save the files, and then import that. And I like that approach a little better sometimes because, again, I feel like I have more control over the audio, and then I can import that into Articulate. I do want to mention a few more options. The mobile option I have for you is Audio Memos Free. There is an Audio Memos Not Free that has a few more features. But this is a quick and simple mobile app for recording your voice. I think this would be useful for recording notes if you're on site somewhere, perhaps for your own research. It's really designed to record like memos to yourself. But you can record anything and then make that available to your students or use it for your own records. So it will record it as a .wav file, and then you can transfer those to your computer to edit in a different program. If you are a Mac user, and maybe I should have asked that, let's do a quick check or X. If you use Mac, give me a check. If you're still a good old-fashioned PC person, give me an X. Not that this is in any way weighing me in on the Mac or PC debate. Okay, so we're about 50-50. If you do have a Mac, they all come preloaded with GarageBand. GarageBand is a great audio editing tool. It's a little bit tougher to use than Audacity because it's really designed for music recording and editing as opposed to just straight narration recording and editing. So it has a lot of tools that you probably have no need for if you're just recording your voice. And it can be difficult to wade through those. But if you have a Mac, then you already have GarageBand. It's as good as free, although if you wanted to update it, that's not free. But as it exists on your computer, it's essentially free, and it's very easy to get started with and use. We do offer workshops on Audacity and on GarageBand. I don't know when they're coming up next, but we do have workshops on using both of those tools if you're interested. Another category of software that we get a lot of questions about is screencasting. Screencasting, if you're not familiar, is essentially recording what occurs on your computer screen with the added benefit of narrating it as you do so. So it's traditionally used for software demonstrations, if there's a software tool that you need students to use in your class, or even if they need help navigating Blackboard, you can create a screencast video that students can follow along with to learn how to use the software tool. We actually have a number of tutorials on our sites that are created using screencasting tools. For a traditional screencasting experience, I recommend JING for a free tool. It is severely limited compared to using a paid tool, but again, it's quick and easy to use, and you'll get results really quickly. So when you install JING, you get this sunburst, actually, that just sort of sits at the top of your screen that allows you to start JING and record at any time. When you start recording, you select the area of your screen that you want to record and just start talking. And when you're done, you can save that to your computer. You can also upload it to a thing called .com, and then you can share a link with your students of those videos as well. The free output from JING is in a SWF format, SWF. That means it's a flash video. That can be somewhat troublesome for students to play if they don't have Flash installed, but I assure you that probably 95% of students already have Flash ready to go. As I said, it captures what is on your computer screen. The fanciest part, I think, is the video, but you can simply capture still images if you wanted to show how a page should look or what settings to choose, and it doesn't require a full explanation. JING is limited, as I said. You cannot add any captioning to a JING video, so I caution you when you use this to make sure that you have a transcript available as well for students who can't hear the audio, whether that's because of a hearing impairment or whether that is simply a matter of being in a computer lab without headphones. They won't be able to hear you. JING is also limited to 5 minutes of output. That means that you can't record a 45-minute lecture with JING, but you can record a 4-minute quick video using the tool. The two most common uses are probably demonstrating new software, teaching students how to use a new product that they haven't before. I also think it's helpful for looking at troubleshooting. So if students complain that they can't accomplish something, then you can provide a brief video to demonstrate to them how they might accomplish that. Have any of you used screencasting before? We'll go with check or X, yes for you have done screencasting, or X for no. Well, so far that's 1 for yes, and the rest of you no. I definitely recommend, if you find that you need to create an online tutorial or lecture for your students, that screencasting is probably the easiest way to go. JING is free. We do have other tools that are paid that have fewer restrictions and more features, but again, to get started, JING is quick and easy. For a mobile tool that I have to say I am just really impressed with, I would recommend, there are two that are probably equally competitive, but I really like EDUCREATIONS. Unfortunately, these are only available for iPads. They're not available for other mobile devices, but they're free, which I'm amazed by, and they really function very, very well. Essentially, with EDUCREATIONS, you get a blank canvas on your device, which you can draw on. You can either sketch out a diagram, you can handwrite a lesson, and you can start by importing an image into the background. I've noticed that everyone's screen's bandwidth has suddenly dropped, so I'm turning off my video for the rest of the lecture. I hope that's okay with you. I don't want to cause more issues than I have to for you watching this. So I apologize. I think you'll have my picture now that you can look at, or you can just look at the screen. I'm okay with that too. So essentially with EDUCREATIONS, like I said, you can start with a blank screen, draw onto that screen, or you can import an image and then draw on top of it. This example with the chemistry equations started with an image that had those equations in it, probably created with PowerPoint actually, because you can save the slide as an image. And then the instructor narrated while he wrote the extra notes on there. So just like you might in class write something on the board and then circle and mark it as you go to highlight certain pieces, that's what he did here. So EDUCREATIONS, to go through and summarize, will record your handwriting on your mobile device along with your narrations. You can write, you can sketch, you can bring in photos, diagrams, or your slides, again, after you've exported your slides as images, and record. I don't believe there is a time limit on these, but I think personally that shorter is better, in maybe the 10 or 15 minutes. We have a faculty member on campus in technology who has been using these to create mini lectures for students to review content after the lecture or before an exam, and has found those to be very successful. From a math, science, technical background, I think they're also very helpful to demonstrate problem solving. If you need to write out a math equation that's tough to do from a typing perspective, but it's easier to do with handwriting. And so EDUCREATIONS is a great way to do that. These are stored then in the cloud, so you can provide your students with a link to watch the video online. Some other free tools. These first two, Screener and Screencast-O-Matic, are cloud-based tools, meaning that there's nothing for you to install. They both allow you to record and share these tutorials with others online. Unless it's changed recently, I believe Screener requires that you have some form of a social media account to sign in with. This could be Facebook, Twitter, Google, something similar. I don't believe you can create an account directly for Screener, although I may be wrong. Screencast-O-Matic, you can create an account directly on their site. And then it allows you, Screencast-O-Matic in addition, will let you publish to a variety of different video formats. Whereas Screener you would view simply online. And then, as I mentioned, ShowMe is really probably the closest competitor to EDUCREATIONS. It's also an iPad app and has most of the same features. I find that EDUCREATIONS is a little bit easier to use and a little more advanced. With EDUCREATIONS, you can prep several pages worth of photos or content. So you could even sketch out a diagram on 3 pages before you start recording and then progress through those as you record, so you don't have to do as much drawing while you're talking. Whereas ShowMe, you just get a single canvas. ShowMe was ahead, in my opinion, until this summer. EDUCREATIONS before did not have an eraser. So if you needed to undo something, you had to basically erase the entire screen. Now they have an eraser. So EDUCREATIONS edges out ShowMe again, but they're constantly releasing new features. When I talked about office productivity software, I mentioned that both OpenOffice and Google Drive have tools for putting together slide presentations. So this isn't about creating slides. This is about taking slides and your presentations to the next level. Many of you probably recognize the image at the front. but the one at the back may be new to you. So at the front, I had PREZI. Again, I'm just curious. Give me a check for yes or an X for no if you have used PREZI before. Again, about 50, well no, fewer of you, most of you have not, fewer of you have. But definitely a few of you, I would say, are familiar with PREZI. Good. It's an innovative take on creating presentations. Instead of getting single pages to work with, PREZI gives you an entire canvas to spread out across. So in this example, I've sort of created slides by using these gray frames so I can group my content together, but at the same time, when you step back, you can see how everything interacts with one another. PREZI is another tool that has made a lot of changes recently and added a lot of great new tools. So if you've tried it in the past and you haven't used it recently, I would recommend giving it another look just to see some of those improvements that they've made. So for PREZI then, the primary feature that makes it different from PowerPoint is that the presentations are animated in that it kind of glides across that canvas, and they are nonlinear. So you can create a linear path for your presentation that's similar to going from one slide to the next. However, you can also break out of that really easily at any time and just grab and slide and pan around the canvas yourself to skip ahead in a presentation or to move in a different direction, which you can do in PowerPoint, but is a little bit more cumbersome when you're in front of an audience. PREZI is web-based. Again, it's cloud-based. As educators, if you sign up for the free educator account, your presentations are private. If you sign up with a regular email address, not an EDU email address, then your presentations are automatically all public. So as educators, I would recommend the EDU account. There is a desktop-based authoring tool that you get if you subscribe to the paid account. Then you can actually download the software and create PREZIs on your own computer. In either case, though, you can download the actual presentations that you make and play those on a computer without an internet connection. So for a free account, you have to create them online, but you can download them to present offline. I definitely do this when I'm presenting at a conference or in a classroom where if I'm not sure of the site and I don't know that I'll have a computer with internet, which again at conferences they're famous for poor Wi-Fi, right? Then I download a backup copy that I can play without internet. There are also apps for the iPad and the iPhone. So if you have a connector so that you can project from your iPad, you can actually present a PREZI from your iPad in class and do some small editing. You can't change a whole lot with the apps, but you can do some minimal editing, like moving things around or changing typos. PREZI, because it's cloud-based, is useful for collaborative presentations. You can invite others to edit your presentation. And I think it's a great alternative to PowerPoint when you don't want to be locked into that square box. I think it invites more creativity. There are drawbacks to PREZI, of course. The first rookie mistake everyone makes is the way that you position your text makes the screen like spin as you move. So the first thing everyone does is make text so that it spins every time, and then your audience gets dizzy. So there are some drawbacks, but it's a very fun and engaging tool. PREZI is available at prezi.com. I would encourage you to go give it a try. It's very easy to use. We do offer workshops on PREZI as well, probably again this fall. Just keep a lookout if you're interested in how to use that. The second presentation tool, again, the more that we move to mobile devices, the more I think that we'll perform sort of fundamental everyday teaching tasks from mobile devices. This is a screenshot of SlideShark. SlideShark is a service, it's an app that will let you present a PowerPoint presentation from your iPad. You can open a presentation on an iPad without having an app, or if you have, there are several options, mostly paid apps like Quick Office, or Microsoft just released an app as well where you can open PowerPoint into those apps. But SlideShark is free, and SlideShark lets you display your presentation in class. This is the view that shows you all of the presentations you have added to SlideShark. When you present, you actually get a presenter view that will show you your notes and the slides that are coming up. And again, it's all free. It's, as far as I know, only available for iPad, and it only works with PowerPoint. But the advantage over, for example, just opening a PowerPoint on your iPad is that SlideShark can interpret the animations, the fonts, the graphics that you add into your PowerPoint. So if you've just opened a presentation, you'll find that the bullets look funny, the text is a different size sometimes, and none of your animations work. With SlideShark, they will. You can remix the presentation that's on your iPad by hiding or moving or rearranging the slides. That's helpful if you have sort of a standard presentation and you need to shorten it, or you want to change the order of some topics. You can do that on the fly. And then when you use SlideShark, your presentations are stored in the cloud, which means you can actually share a presentation from SlideShark via email or put it on a website, and SlideShark then will track and let you know how many times the presentation has been viewed. I've used SlideShark quite often to present on the go, either at a conference or in a classroom. It's just a fantastic tool for not having to lug my laptop around and just bringing my iPad. And the website is slideshark.com. Again, I did mention Google Docs as a presentation option, but I just feel the need to reiterate that the presentations are fairly simple, although it is great for collaboration. I'm going to close out the presentation today by highlighting a few other free mobile apps. If you have mobile devices, smartphones, or tablets, you may have used these in the past. None of these, I think, are terribly obscure as apps go, but they're ones that I think can dramatically change the way you live and work. The first thing, though, to remember is this is just a small sampling. There are millions of apps out there on iOS and Android and BlackBerry, etc. Windows now is moving up in the smartphone arena. And there are many, many more apps than what I'll cover today. Even, I'm not covering all of these. This is just a larger selection of some of the apps that I have covered in other sessions. We do have a workshop we offered once and will likely offer again that's part of our mobile learning series. If you're interested in mobile, I would definitely look for that series to start back up again in fall, where we cover different functions and features of mobile apps that you may be interested in and of mobile use in the classroom. One of those workshops was on free mobile apps, and we highlighted a lot of the apps that you may not have come across before. The first app, well, the very first app as NIU faculty, staff, TAs that you should download is the NIU mobile app. If you haven't used it, the NIU mobile app will give you access to the calendar, the institutional calendar, the directory. You can get maps. A lot of really great features, including news updates, athletic scores, all sorts of great tools pertaining to our campus. After you download the NIU mobile app, I would also recommend the Blackboard Mobile Learn app. This one's available for Android, iOS, iPhone, and iPad. It's available for BlackBerry and Palm. And what it will do is give you and your students access to Blackboard resources on the go. Again, there is a workshop. There is also an online archive of the last time we discussed Blackboard Mobile Learn in an online session, so I would highly recommend, if you want more details, looking for that workshop archive. But essentially, what it will, at a minimum, what it does is allow you to access, open, view, read the course materials that you have posted for students in Blackboard. And it's much more reliable than trying to log in via the browser on your smartphone in order to view the materials. From your perspective as faculty, I think one of the most useful things you can do is post an announcement while you're on the go. If you're going to be late for class, you can pull out your smartphone and make an announcement to that effect. For students, I think what they're most interested in is being able to view their grades. They can also, as I said, open up any of the files or materials that are in Blackboard. And for everyone, one of my favorite features is a discussion board on the mobile app. You can read and comment, reply to any discussion board post from the app. You can also actually read and comment on journals and blogs too, and they work very well. Just recently, Blackboard added the ability to take some tests from a mobile device. That depends upon the settings that you choose, but students may be able to take a short quiz or an exam. I wouldn't recommend that they take a long exam, but if you have a short quiz of maybe 5 to 10 questions, they can do that from a mobile device. As I said, it's available for iPad, iPhone, and iPod Touch, Android, BlackBerry, and Palm. And again, we have a workshop that goes into detail on using Blackboard Mobile Learn and on how to design your course so that it's compatible with Blackboard Mobile Learn. Most of the features of Blackboard work very nicely with the mobile app, but there are some that do not. The other Blackboard app that Lisa actually found and is using right now is the Blackboard Collaborate mobile app. The Collaborate mobile app will let you access and participate in Collaborate web conferencing sessions from a mobile device. You cannot present from one of these, unfortunately, because you're limited to the tools you can access. But your students can log in, they can view a presentation, they can interact using the polling or the hand raising, and the microphone and the text chat. All of those tools are available through the Blackboard Collaborate app. I think that pretty much summed it up, actually. Participate, listen, talk, chat, use interactive tools. I think for some students, particularly when they just need to view and maybe discuss a little within Blackboard, within Collaborate, it's easier to have students use their mobile device than it is to get them to purchase a headset and a webcam. So it's a good backup. If they can't use the traditional access from a computer, then the mobile app is a secondary way for them to participate. They are still working on both of these, the Collaborate and the Learn apps, to add more features, but they're very usable as they are. The Collaborate app specifically is available for iPad, iPhone, and now for Android. On Android, it will work on most phones and tablets, and it also works on the Kindle Fire HD. So that's the end of my Blackboard commercial. The free mobile app that I think changed my life the most is DROPBOX. And I started using DROPBOX actually before I had a mobile device. What DROPBOX will do is store files in the cloud for you, so you can log in from anywhere and get them from the website. And it will synchronize those files across any computer that you've installed DROPBOX on, as well as any mobile device that you've installed the app on. So I can take a file from my computer at my office, put it into DROPBOX. I can open it when I get home. I can check it from my laptop when I'm on the road. And I can also open it and read it during a meeting on my tablet, my smartphone, etc. I find students use this a lot now. Instead of carrying a flash drive to class, if they're working in a computer lab, They'll save their file into Dropbox, and then they can open it up again when they get home. Any of you are Dropbox users? A few. I think for those of you who have used it, if you use it regularly, maybe you can attest as well, it will completely change the way you think about your files and your file storage, to realize that I don't have to keep track of a flash drive. I don't need to move the latest versions to the flash drive. I can just keep the file in Dropbox and edit it. The synchronization here across devices, across computers, and the website is the most useful. I didn't mention you can also share folders with others. So within our department, for example, we do have a server that we can put files on internally, we can all access. But we also sometimes just use Dropbox, or I use it if I need to share with others outside of the university or outside of the department. Put the files in, then everyone can access it once I've shared it with them. And the transmission is encrypted, so it's not 100% safe because any cloud storage is not, but it is fairly safe. Again, that's at dropbox.com. If you haven't used it, I would at least look into it. Even if you don't have a mobile device, it will, like I said, change the way you think about your files. Another tool that will change the way you think this time about note-taking is Evernote. Evernote, again, is a tool that you can install on any computer, on most mobile devices, and you can access from the web. This will allow you to take notes. You can type them, you can record audio, you can insert images, and it will synchronize those notes across all of your devices. So again, I use this a lot in departmental meetings. I can take my notes while I'm there on my iPad, and when I get back to my computer, they're already there. I've recommended this to students to take notes with. You can organize them and tag them by what class they were for. You can sort them by what day you took them. You can add extra keywords as to topics to make them searchable. It's a great tool to be organized and to organize your digital assets so that you aren't hunting through files on your computer or old emails. I used to email notes to myself, and then I'd have to go back and try to find the email in my inbox or my archive, and Evernote will track that for me. So again, it syncs the notes across devices. I really like being able to record audio or take photographs. I use the photograph feature all the time. If I'm parking when I'm out and about, I can take a photo of where I parked and store it in Evernote to get later and make sure I can find my car again. And you can also share the notebooks with others. Very useful for taking notes in class or recording research notes so that you can retrieve them later. And the site for that, again, is evernote.com. Other free mobile apps that I really like, if you use Skype from your computer, Skype on a mobile device is even better, I think, actually. It's even easier. So you can Skype chat with any other Skype users from anywhere. I recommend using Wi-Fi for this, not your cellular data if you're on a mobile device. We actually used it for a course where one of the students was out of town, and it was easier to get him in via Skype than it was to put together like a collaborate session. But with Skype on the iPad, he could see the class, he could hear us, we could hear him, and interact together very, very easily. The Kindle app will let you read and annotate any ebooks that you might have on a Kindle already. So if you are an ebooks user, if you have a Kindle device, then the Kindle mobile app is very useful. I personally don't have an e-reader, so I installed the Kindle app so that I can have the functions of an e-reader on my tablet or my smartphone. On Apple devices, iTunes U will let you access any of the course materials that have been made available by other universities on iTunes U. So again, you can subscribe to a podcast from a philosophy course at Harvard or see course notes from MIT. A variety of institutions have made materials available on iTunes U, and you can access those then with the app from your mobile device. From a computer, you can always access them through iTunes, but on your mobile device, iTunes U makes it easier. And then on a slight departure, this is a little less academic heavy, I would say, but Flipboard is an interesting app that will aggregate all of your social networks into one stream. It will also pull in your RSS feeds and then make them look like a magazine. So instead of scrolling through pages and pages, just a single list of your Twitter feed, in Flipboard you turn page to page and it includes excerpts from an article if it was a link, or will actually display the photo instead of just a link to a photo. It changes your social network stream into something much more visual, into something much more visual and easier to navigate. Phew, all right. That was a lot of stuff, from office productivity, graphic organizing, graphic editing, audio, screencasting. I didn't even get into things like video or calculators, etc. But I want to pause now. We have a few more minutes and find out what are any of your favorite software tools that I didn't cover. Is there a free tool that you're just dying to let everyone know about? You can type it into the text chat or raise your hand and I'll turn over the microphone to you. Well, it looks like I must have covered them all, or you're all a shy group. That's fine. No problems. I want to move on. If you have any questions about the tools that I shared or about using free software, feel free to post those in the text chat while we wrap up. As a reminder, this is me, Stephanie Richter. You can contact me via email, phone, or on Twitter. Thank you so much for attending.